going on, everybody? It's Josh Answers from the Trading Fraternity, here with a daily recap for June 17th to close out the week. Kind of active at first, ended up being a little boring. I will remind you guys, too, we are having a webinar this Sunday. It's the Citizen webinar. It's going to be around 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. Pacific time. If you'd like to attend it, you need to be a citizen. Send me an email, tradingfraternity@gmail.com. If you just want to sit in, let me know. But get there. This will be the last of the daily recap videos I'll post here. I will get some other videos for you guys, but really appreciate you guys who've been a part. I've seen a lot of the same guys, so let's keep in touch. But I'll start by answering the questions. Jim Green said he started trading at 13. Yeah, I started trading at 14, actually. Michael Wolosic said, can you show me how to change my candlesticks to blue and yellow on eTrade Pro? Keep doing these even though they're short and gray. Yeah, you just go to eTrade Pro, right-click, go to chart settings, and then right here. Bar color, white, up, down. You just select up is obviously yellow, blue is down. Very, very simple. Next, Justin Love said, TTF Citizen here. So I hear about levels on the chat like price line breaks through, say 1330, good indication. It's going to jump to the next level, 1357. Assuming resistance levels, but where? How do you see that? That's some of the stuff some of the traders in the chat use. I know folks, that's a big thing he sticks by. I'm not sure if it's like Fibonacci levels, but I don't use that. Most of the time traders are referring to reference or resistance when they're referencing that, but I don't use that. If I'm looking at any price levels, I'm studying price action, and I'm seeing where are buyers and seeing what people have been willing to pay and getting a more historical sense in value. But some people have noticed, I guess, short-term phenomena at price levels and price action on certain days, but I don't invest in that. But we'll talk about that on the webinar. Actually, good question. And then someone said, oh God. Blackbirds, have you been following the EXAS roller coaster market cap 1 billion? Is it too much of a manipulation prone small cap? Yeah, we were actually looking at, we call it XAS. We were looking at that before a lot of the stuff started pumping into that, or the people and stuff. It's interesting. Shout out to Pledges, Pickle, and Brody. They found some interesting news on it. They're actually, that EXAS is actually based on their filings and what they're saying with their debt. You guys could look it up in the filings if you know how to. I might even do a lesson on it. But you could go through and see that they're going to run out of money in 12 months. So they are actually a buyout candidate, amongst other things. And there's pretty cool reasons why fundamentally. Something Zansom said, also, how do you break free of the extreme correlation of almost everything there is, risk on and off, all assets pegged to the mighty SPY or SPX? You find stuff that is moving independently. Although a lot of stuff is correlated and things eventually, move towards that equilibrium, and SPY seems to be that thing everything's moving with. You look for the stuff that is acting different, and there always is going to stuff, and you're always going to see stuff moving at different rates, but then it requires patience because sometimes it takes time for those to develop. But that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for those questions. Leave me some more. But anyways, coming in today was an interesting day. I'm gonna start with the best piece of news ever. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. It makes me laugh every time I hear this. China had an issue with Apple. There's a patent issue where now the Apple iPhone is under patent investigation in China for looking too much and being too much designed like another Chinese smartphone company that is a knockoff iPhone. So it's a pretty weird situation. We're going to talk beyond being humorous. It's actually very, very important. They stopped the sales of the iPhone, and Apple quickly got that fixed. They submitted an injunction in Shanghai, and then there's something. It's a weird situation. We don't know the full details on it yet, but there's some issues, and we're going to talk about what it means because that's a very hostile move. I think it goes beyond just a little funny issue. It's too funny to be a joke, in my opinion. I think it goes beyond that. It's a very hostile action shown by the Chinese government, especially with all the counterfeiting you heard, or even what Jack Ma said the other day. We talked about that, but it's crazy. Pretty much it's a Apple iPhone knockoff. It looks just like the iPhone is suing the iPhone for looking too much like it. So they made a copy, and the copy looks too much like the original, so the copy is suing the original. It's humor, but again, I think this is something more of political aggression, and it kind of leads to something else I was going to talk about today that happened. Steel prices shot up. Look at steel, even in the last month or two, it's been up about 200%. There's a lot of hopefully more news comes out so I could talk about it. There's a lot of stuff going on with tariffs, and steel is very important. Actually, I'd say it's just as important as the oil industry right now. And so China's heavily involved in that. There's South Sea issues. There's many things that we could be in conflict with China, but it's a hostile move to see them do that, especially on Apple, and to see, considering we got over $40 billion a year coming from China alone on Apple's, revenue. So that's huge. So pay attention to that. Another thing that happened today that was really big was Bullard. I don't know, James or Steve Bullard. I'm blanking right now, but Bullard, St. Louis head chair. He was not the head chair, but he's one of the Fed board members for the St. Louis Fed, and he had a very sharp change in the economy. Now it's funny because he said he has a negative outlook. Pretty much he said the economy is going to slow down, and he thinks only one rate hike all the way up till 2018, which is very, very different what everybody in the Fed is saying. And this is very weird because not only has this dude changed his mind and led to, credibility issues and people seeing that, but he was one of the most hawkish people, meaning he was very let's do this rate hike. He was all about it. And now he's just switched, and it's a very interesting move, and I think to analyze it, it's very interesting because you look at how Bullard's attitude is. This guy's kind of, what's the word? He's not a martyr, but he's kind of activist, or he's against the system. I don't know. The word's easy. I'm blanking on it, but he's really activist for change and how the Fed works. Like, this guy wants to get rid of the dot plot where the Fed members plot their expectations, and in the Fed, he wants to get rid of that. He thinks that just binds everybody to like a commitment with the market. He wants to get rid of that. He didn't even vote. A lot of the Fed members gave their rate hike expectations. He was the only one past 2019. He was the only one who did not give his rate hike expectations past 2019. But so it's funny because not only is he abruptly changing his mind, he's a real critic of the system. He could either be doing this to kind of show why some changes need to be made. I don't know. It's an interesting move, but it did have an effect on the markets, and it did send things down because it did paint a grim picture. And I said in another video, even though that clickbait headline, it still applies. Janet Yellen said the economy was slowing down, and then you got another guy saying this, and he's even saying rate hike expectations are very grim for him. He's saying the economy is slowing down, but then again, the underlying issue is the credibility. But that's what happened. We won't get too much into that. Very interesting. Another thing was Google. Here's what happened. They've been on a fucking slide this whole week. They went from 735 to 703. Big drop in the last 3 days. Shout out John Baker, one of the TTF citizens. He made about $10,000 playing that. So good shit, man. Really proud of you. Good to see. You probably would have made more, man. Looking at this now, hopefully you didn't get that FOMO. But it's crazy to see what happened with Google. They had a negative earnings review by analysts. The analyst gave a negative earnings outlook, saying that search revenue is probably going to go down, how much they're going to be getting from that. So the stock slid a good almost 3%. I think it was that mixed with everything else. And also, like I said today, biggest thing on the plate for this week this weekend is we have the Brexit next week. So all eyes are going to be on that. Even this weekend, keep an eye on that. That's going to be super, super interesting to watch the Brexit. Because there's a lot of developments happen during the weekend, so we need to watch. But that's what we're going to talk about more, and that's going to be huge. We're going to talk about it a lot in the webinar, so make sure you guys get there. Make sure you get there with questions too. There's that, but that's why Google dropped. Another thing, gold and Bitcoin. Hopefully you guys saw the other videos. Gold top 1,300, like we said. Bitcoin massively ripped again. And some may say, well, why are you saying Bitcoin's going to rip? You told me not to buy. Again, as you see, something happened. Bitcoin, it's very volatile. It went from 770 back to like 750 to like 709, and had a brief sharp decline in its price because another cryptocurrency like Bitcoin got hacked. It's called Ethereum. That's what the currency's called, and they got hacked while Bitcoin's rising. But keep an eye on Bitcoin too, and even see the Brexit. And sorry, before I get into that, I'll get into my claims with the Brexit before, and we'll get into it more. But a move is going to happen either way. We've talked about this is why I say come to the webinar. We talked about what's going to happen if the Brexit the Brexit happens. But now we got to talk about what the Brexit will do, what the market will do if the Brexit does happen. So there's that. But back to Ethereum, that was the Bitcoin-like cryptocurrency. They got hacked. So that led Bitcoin investors to get a little worried. What happened? Ethereum got hacked for like $50 or $60 million. It was something called the DAO. It's like the Digitalized Automation Organization, I want to say. It's like a hedge fund. It's like Ethereum is like Bitcoin, but it has a whole different structure. It's like open source. You could code onto it. It's like Bitcoin, but it mirrors some respect. I've only just read about it not too long ago, but it has some weird traits, but it could operate like the stock market. People are looking to try to make the first crypto corporation, and that's what could be used with Ethereum and DAO, the thing that got hacked. It's like a hedge fund, and it has like an options contract type system in a way, a clearing time, all that. It's very, very intricate, but someone found a vulnerability that's been talked about. They took advantage of it. They got hacked. They stole 60 million, but now why the coin went back up, why investors didn't panic, and Bitcoin ended up hitting a new all-time high. And yes, it's an all-time high based on market cap. I'll talk about that in another video. But the stock or Bitcoin went back up if investors were chilled out after they realized they could get the money back. It's going to take some issues. It's a developing situation, but the money has to get moved. It got moved into a clearing account. So the stolen money, they know exactly where it is. They're looking at it. So they have 30 days to pretty much do something to get it back, and that's going to have some politics over the issue. Some are even comparing it to a bailout. It's a pretty cool situation if you're into that. So you can look at that, but that's going to be interesting to watch for Bitcoin and to see how gold and Bitcoin react with the Brexit and everything this week. Another thing this weekend, watch out for Japan's balance of trade. That happens Sunday night and Monday. So Japan's balance of trade, and then their head of their central bank, Karudo, he's going to be the Bank of Japan. He's going to be speaking Monday morning, shortly after they release on Sunday night. So keep an eye out for that. That can move markets. That's kind of winding up into that. That's pretty much all that happened. Last thing too, watch Lumber Liquidators. I didn't get into play on this, but I'm gonna maybe I need to look more into it again. I'm probably gonna do my research and I might have a whole play thesis for this by the time we get into the webinar. But some news came out. The U.S. Consumer Safety Commission took back the recall on the China floor. So if any of you are familiar with the situation, I made a lot of money shorting this. I hated them at first. However, at 15, I need to look at their filings and see comparatively, but they may be a good deal. A lot of the headwinds from some of the negative press is going away. U.S. Consumer Safety just did a recall. They shot up about 18% today, but I keep that on watch. That and Apple going down, and more developments from the Apple patent case. That, and then also Perigo. Watch out for that. I know we saw it go down, and somebody was, I think Mr. Ray Rivas was giving me shit for it going down, but right at close, it was about, let's see, for next week, right at close, somebody bought 105 calls. They bought about, literally within the last 3 minutes, they bought just about 2,500 contracts, I think. 1,000 there and then 900 there. So 2,000 contracts. About 2,000 contracts got purchased for 105. So very, very interesting. So I keep an eye out for that, but we'll see what happens from there. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I see you guys in the webinar. I really want to see a lot of you guys there. Hit me up, send me an email, or sign up, ttfcitizen.com. Easiest way, you'll get the email and the newsletter right away. If you want a trial, you're worried about signing up, you can't afford it, send me an email. I want you guys in there. I want people who are going to talk and ask questions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, save your money, don't drink alcohol, stay in school.